The internet economy has made it possible to do business with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Given that, why should members of a community do business locally? If a business wants to thrive in a given neighborhood, it needs to be part of that neighborhood. Whether it's a square block, a square mile, or even the seventh largest city in America, people want to do business with corporations that participate in their community, not just sell to it. That engagement with the community, that social responsibility, is a hot topic in the corporate world. Stephanie Cano-Qualls, Community Relations Manager for Grande Communications, is here to explain the corporate-community connection. Welcome to BexarCast. I'm Randy Langford, and this is BexarCast, a weekly interview with business, political, education, and nonprofit leaders. We're examining the relationships between all four and how each one benefits from the success of the other three. Stephanie Cano-Qualls is a marketing professional with 10 plus years of experience in customer service and event and campaign management. She earned her marketing degree at St. Mary's University and her MBA at the University of the Incarnate Word. Today, she manages local campaigns and events for Grande Communications in San Antonio, San Marcos, and Austin. She also has nonprofit connections after serving as the special events coordinator for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of South Texas. Stephanie, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
My pleasure. It's intriguing that you've been on both sides of that equation when it comes to corporate philanthropy. You've been the giver and the fundraiser. You've been the giver and the fundraiser there at Grande Communications. What did you learn in the world of on the nonprofit side of that equation that now you're glad you know on the philanthropic side?
There's a few things. First and foremost, I know by visiting with a lot of nonprofits and then experiencing it as someone who works for a nonprofit, that programs are kind of easy to fund.
Right.
People always want to give to, and I'll use the Rape Crisis Center, for example. They're happy to fund the hotline. They're happy to fund the counseling. They're happy to fund the education. But what about all the other stuff? How do we pay for the lights? How do we pay for salary? How do we pay for toilet paper, supplies? All that kind of stuff also needs to be funded. And I'm glad I know that coming from the nonprofit background. I know that there's needs that people don't really think about otherwise.
That's a big conversation going on in the nonprofit world now. Speaking to philanthropists about there is overhead.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
every nickel goes to rescuing a particular dog or serving a particular mission. We have to keep the lights on. We have to pay the bills.
Yeah, you have to pay the people who are doing all that hard work.
Nonprofits are starting to push back on that when funders are asking, so what percentage of your total budget is overhead? They want it to be around 2 or 3%. That's just not realistic.
Agree. I totally agree. And then also coming from that background, these people are putting in hours and hours and hours of work, and they're not compensated very well, and I just hope one day, like, all the people doing this hard work and enduring all these like emotions and whatnot, are compensated at a fair rate, and well, and they can, don't have to get second jobs or third jobs or anything like
100%.
that.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's sad, but it happens out there, and I, just God bless them, because they're doing a lot of hard, tough work out there, all kinds of
wearing a lot of different hats.
Definitely.
I know.
Definitely.
As a one-man band, I know.
I know you know.
Well, and let's flip that coin over. What did you know as a corporate philanthropist? Now that you're in the giving side of the equation, what would have been useful to you to know when you were on the nonprofit side about philanthropic organizations?
Sure. I wish I was a little bolder. I think my fundraising job, it was my first professional job, and I wish I had used my network a little better, asking, friends of friends for an introduction or something like that. I also wish that I was more strategic and focused, because I was just asking everybody for money. I don't care what kind of company you were. I was like, I'm going to go after your money. But if I was more strategic about it, I would have looked for donors who had similar values, who had similar focus. Instead of I would go to USAA and ask them for money for this, this, and this, but it would make more sense to ask USAA for, if, for example, if I was in Brick Village Big Sisters, I would ask them for mentors for kids whose parents were deployed. So it would make more sense if I was more strategic with that. But yeah, it was my first job. I think I was just young, dumb, and naive. I was just
doing it,
kind of thrown in. So I was an intern, and then they're like, "Hey, do you want this?" Sure, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really fascinated in that you've been on both sides of the fence here. How have you seen that relationship between corporations and communities evolve? Has it changed in recent years? The corporations are investing more time and money into being a part of the community.
I think so. And I think there's hard data to speak to that point. I went to a symposium put on by Benevity a few months ago. And, I think the number they threw out was that corporate philanthropy corporate giving had gone up in 2018 for 56%, which is huge. Yeah, it's huge. They also pointed out that Giving Tuesday raised more money than people spent on Cyber Monday, which is really cute and interesting, I think.
That's refreshing. That's encouraging.
I think so. And I am proud that Grande, from like day one, has always had that culture of giving. I think they had Grande Cares established before a lot of other of their operations, had gone underway. So I think from day one, they have really instilled that culture of giving, which is really refreshing. And I do think people are starting to understand that you have to care about the community you are doing business in. So I think people are starting to connect those dots. And I think a lot of people, especially in San Antonio, a lot of the companies here have always had that in the forefront of their mind, and people are starting to follow those leaders.
That's true. San Antonio's always had a big heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. There's a lot written and discussed now. It's a hot topic about that corporate social responsibility, why it's important, how to implement it. Can you put some context around that? I don't expect you to speak on behalf of all corporations, but you mentioned Grande Cares. What are the elements of the social responsibility program there at Grande Communications? What does it look like?
Yeah, so Grande's pretty unique. Our mission statement is, take care of our customer, take care of each other, do what we say we're going to do, and have fun. And I think that directly reflects in our corporate social responsibility. The first one, take care of our customers. So we're really strategic about where we're putting our dollars. We are, instead of giving to like these big kind of national organizations or anything like that, we are doing kind of a grassroots approach where we are going where our customers are. So an example would be the Delview neighborhood in San Antonio.
Right.
We support their school by sponsoring their Delview Family Fun Night. We support their neighborhood association by sponsoring their movie nights in the park in the summer. We support their food pantry. We help them get the seed money for their food pantry. And
nice.
Now they're, serving, so we know that those dollars are going directly to that neighborhood where we do business, whether those customers are ours, or their customers or not, I should say.
Right.
We don't care, but what we do care about is that those people are taken care of, and that that we're there. We want to be there, and we want to invest in this community.
Well, it doesn't get much more grassroots than that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right on the front porch, right?
Right. If I give $500 to this food pantry, it's going to go a long way compared to if I give $500 to a big, food I don't know. I didn't want to say, but
Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
$500 goes a lot. It means a lot more to an organization with a budget of 100,000 than it does to an organization with a budget of 100 million.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's one aspect of it. Another is, taking care of each other, right? So Grande really cares about what I care about, or what he cares about, or what she cares about, right? So, for example, I'm on the board of the Rape Crisis Center. I know I brought that up already,
Right.
but they know that I spend a lot of my free time over there. They know that I support their events on my own free time, and I put a lot of volunteer hours. So they recognize that, they appreciate that, and so they donate. It's called their Valued Volunteer Program. Grande will donate on behalf of myself, to the Rape Crisis Center. So they'll make a check to the Rape Crisis Center, say this because Steph put some time in,
Nice.
which is pretty cool. So that's our valued volunteer dollars. And then you brought up, or I brought up, the Grande Cares aspect, where that's our internal philanthropic group. So instead of giving to like a United Way or something like that, each of us put aside a piece of our paycheck into this community chest.
Nice.
And so then we have board members who are also Grande employees, who kind of know how much money we have there, and then look at our applications of people who have applied for the grant, and then decide on behalf of the other employees where to give that money to.
So stewards.
Yeah, exactly. So it's from employees. The money is raised by employees, and it's very employee driven, which is really, really cool.
I'm so glad you do that, and I'm so grateful that you do that. But in cold hard business facts, I mean, you're running a business. This is a business. In cold hard business facts, what's the benefit of that? What's the ROI on goodwill?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. I love that question.
Good.
ROI can be measured in a lot of different ways, from the community social responsibility aspect of it, right? So I think number one is retention. We have it, for sure, because we have employees here pushing 20 years. When I got hired, I was the new person on the block. The next person was like 8 years, 10 years. So people have been here a really long time. And I really do think it's because the company cares about the employees. The company cares about what the employees care about.
Right.
And I think that really translates into, the lack of turnover. So I think just those costs of a new hire, sure, all by itself, that's big savings. I think you can also measure it by engagement, how, these employees are volunteering, how, the time they're putting in, overtime. They want, if somebody's asking you, do you mind coming in for, this project, it's some overtime, they can say no, but they're not going to. They're not going to, because they care. I think because our engagement is high, I think that really says a lot about all that. You can measure it with revenue. You can measure it with a reputation. I have, when I do these events, people will come to my table and say, thank you so much. I'm a customer because you do this every year. Right. And I think that has a lot to do with it as well. So just the branding and reputation alone.
Okay. And you already answered my next question when I was going to ask what's in it for the employees. What's the internal value? But you laid it out pretty well. It's morale, it's retention, it's pride, and it's being able to hold your head up when you tell people, I work for Grande Communications.
Exactly. I really love working here. I want to retire here, and I think that that says something. I'm a millennial, so that says something. Oh. We have millennials supposedly have this reputation of job hopping and whatnot, but I have found somewhere where they treat me right and I treat them right. And it's a relationship, and it's that kind of engagement that really shows that the culture, especially the culture of giving that's instilled, means something to the employees and means something to the company. So I think that's super important. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I think
No,
that's
you
it in
got
a nutshell.
you got it. I know one of the unique ways Grande demonstrates its commitment to the community is through education, and what you guys do with Bearfest, as far as the scholarship that you provided for one of the students participating in Bearfest. That's just a remarkable benefit to my organization and to the student. For me to be able to when I'm fundraising, to be able to go out and talk to people and say, yeah, we've got Grande Communications on board with us. They're a supporter. Well, that gives us a certain cachet, gives the festival a certain reputation. And I know it means the world to the kids and to the schools. That commitment to education, rewarding students for their hard work, and recognizing, and I'm not bashing football. I love football, but there's more to high school life in Texas than football, and
Agreed. Yeah.
giving kids some recognition for doing scholastic things is worthwhile. So thank you for that. I appreciate what you do.
Of course, you're so very welcome. And just on that, I think Bearfest is just one of the most unique organizations, events I've ever participated, and I've participated in a lot of events.
You get around,
and it's just super super unique, and it's just a fun event. And I think it really gives opportunity to kids who wouldn't normally get to experiment with AV or graphic design or anything like that. I think it's pretty awesome. For example, like the poster contest, I thought it was so cool that from Dwight Middle School, the poster winners were from there. So I thought that, and you don't really hear Dwight Middle School in the awards section or I don't know about their football. I'm not very athletically inclined when it comes to football.
Well, it's a middle school, so they don't make the news. They don't make ESPN.
Right. But you know what I mean, like those
right,
kinds of accolades, but here they are winning, this part of the competition, which was really, really awesome. So it gives everybody kind of an even playing field. It gives everybody an opportunity to participate. Especially, of course, some schools may need help with resources and whatnot. Sure. But I think it's just an amazing opportunity and just a wonderful festival.
Well, thank you. Thanks. I'm glad. And in all fairness, in the spirit of full disclosure, you're a board member.
I am a board member, but only recently. I was always singing your praises before that.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that service. Thanks for joining me. I know you're busy. Thanks for taking a few minutes to talk to me a little bit about what Grande does and give me a chance to say thanks.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.